that type of year where we remember to be kind to one another. And in today's episode, just following the holiday marketing one, I wanted to talk about kindness in our communication, in our how we market, ourselves, whether it's social media or the things that we share. And with that, let's get started. First of all, like being clear is kind and unclear is unkind. I love that quote by Nina Kovner. And it's something that has really like helped me in regards to also kindness also comes with boundaries. So first I'm going to talk with boundaries with kindness, and then we'll dive a little bit into kindness in our messaging and our marketing and what we do, especially in what we say. So first let's start with boundaries. Having clear boundaries is very important, right? So, for example, like in my inquiry form, I contact people within 48 hours. I'm being kind by letting them know, okay, up front, this is how long it's going to take me to get back to you. I hear you. I see you. I got the message that you sent me. It's going to take me 48 hours, right? I'm not over explaining. I'm not going to a big rant. I'm not angry about it. I'm being very clear upfront from the beginning. So that is the clear boundary. That is kind, that's clear. And we can have boundaries. We should have boundaries in our lives, especially in our business, that are clear and very kind so people know the expectations. There's nothing worse than not knowing what to expect. I just got Gel X nails done. I've never had them done in my life. I learned so much through this experience. That's for a different podcast episode. But when you don't know what to expect or how they work or how something works or how somebody runs their business, it can be very confusing and frustrating from the client experience. So I think boundaries is really important, just to be clear and kind about it, right? We don't have to be rude about it. Let's talk about another clear boundary. When you're sick, right? Like maybe you have a cancellation fee. So something unpopular opinion, I never upheld my cancellation fee in regards to charging money. So when people are sick, because I have a low immune system, sometimes I could get sick. There was times where I would be very sick and I end up like having to go to the doctor, or the hospital. Like, it happens. Okay. Sharing you a little behind the scenes here. When I used to do color, and sometimes I had to reschedule. So they understood that. They were loving and kind about it. So if my clients don't charge me a fee for canceling on them, okay, why would I be charging them a fee when they're sick and they're human and things happen? It's not happening all the time. It's like, it literally happens like because they're sick. So now knowing that, that's something that I took into consideration. So being clear and kind is like, hey, I have a cancellation policy, which was really for all like the new clients, just to make sure that they understood like my time is valuable for them and their time towards me is valuable as well. So it's an equal exchange. That was a clear communication, right? But I got to be kind and uphold it how best fit for me and my business and for me, because it did, honestly, like I can count with one hand how many times I've had like a cancellation happen. When I used to do color, I decided to, like, you know what, like I'm not going to charge the fee, right? But they knew up front, and my clients have always been like, Celeste, I know you have a cancellation fee. I know it's like less than 48 hours. Like, please let me pay the full amount. Tell me the fee. I'll tip you. I'm like, no, love, it's okay. Like, you're sick. I have had to cancel on you because I've been very sick and ill. Like, you've never done this to me. This is the least I can do. They appreciate it, right? We're having that clear, kind communication. My client understands there's a fee. They're willing to pay. I understand there's a fee. There's policies enforced, but also I'm using my own judgment. And because I'm the business owner of my own business, I get to decide how I run it. I want to give that equal exchange of gratitude and of like, they've understood me, I can understand them, right? It's not happening all the time. So that's in regards to boundaries. We can be very kind with them. We don't have to be rude, shaming clients and all this stuff, on social by doing so. So there's that. Okay, so number 2, let's talk about kindness in our social media, how we talk to people, our communication style. Okay, I am very sassy. Okay, I'm an Aries. I was born in April. I'm an April baby. I was born in New York, and sometimes I think that maybe has a little bit of my sassiness comes from the New York in me. Just kidding. I was born like this, okay? But I wasn't always like this. That's a lie. I was very shy when I was little, but my sassy side did start coming out. So I started growing older. Anyway, so part of being kind in our communication is that when we write something, please read it to yourself out loud. So I am the typo queen. I cannot believe when I was in high school, I got into AP classes. I was ditching all the time. Hopefully my kids don't ever listen to this one. So I was ditching all the time. I got into AP classes. I know how to read and understand and comprehend, and actually wrote an essay on old English textbooks. Like, I mean, I was very knowledgeable in that. But this is why I always say about repetition and practicing things. Because I no longer write essays, of course, and I haven't, and I don't work in an office environment, my freaking vocabulary, punctuation, and grammar is horrible, okay? Like, it is what it is. And now I laugh at it because I remember like a couple years ago, I tried to, I was like, oh, maybe I'll go back to the JC for like some English and literature. And a girl didn't get into English 1A anymore, okay? So I've lost that. But read it out loud. It helps me so much to be able to see, how does this sound? Is it harsh? Does it make sense? Do I need a period? Do I need a comma? Am I perfect? Hell no. But it helps. It helps to make sure that to understand if it's really in your tone of voice. Something people do is like that, where you use a little audio thing so it can like type it out for you. I don't like using it. I don't like Siri or my phone listening to my conversations, so I just don't turn that on, but you can do that too. Also, look at your videos or the context of what you're sharing with your videos or your promotions on social media. I remember years ago when memes about clients and like annoying things, quote unquote, the clients would do, people would do memes about it. And that for me was so wrong. Like wrong. I'm trying not to swear. It was so wrong, and it was so not me and not my brand, and everybody was doing it, okay? But Celeste was not doing it because I was like, if somebody who was doing one of my services, right, where it's like waxing or my nails or like my facial or my massage, whatever, was shaming me for something, like, or maybe getting my toes done, right? If they were shaming me for like something, like, I would be like embarrassed, horrified, and I would never want to go back there again. So what I started doing actually is, if any of the businesses, and this is a good lesson, like, doesn't mean all my clients are like me, but I think it was just such a good perspective for myself. If any of the businesses that I went to was shaming clients for any of those things, there's no freaking way I was going to go back there or let them touch me or do any type of beauty service on me ever again. And I know it sounds very harsh, but I'm like, dude, like, if you're doing that in public on social media, posting mean memes and making fun of your clients, what are you saying when I'm not there, right? And a really good like example of this outside of our industry, it happened on TikTok, where I believe it was at a medical office. So you know how they put like the white paper, and somebody sat down, and and that person got up, it was like all wet and stuff. And some people in the medical office were like making fun of that and ew and how gross it was and all this stuff, and posted it publicly on social media. They all ended up getting fired. And some people were mad, some people were glad, but I'm like, dude, like, when you're in a medical profession, like, people are going in there asking for help. They're trusting you with their health. They're more intimate, like, things like about their life, right? There's also the legalities. I know there's like the HIPAA law. I know this because my sister, she's in the medical field, and I have family members who are medical field and nurses. Anyways, and I know that shit's very strict. Like, if you freaking mess with that thing, your ass is getting fired. And just seeing that, I was like, oh my gosh, if anybody does that, I would not go back to that doctor's office. I remember we're having a conversation about this with my sister, and she's like, yeah, dude, like, that's gonna end up all bad. Said and done, those people got fired, and it was like all over like TikTok. I remember that. And I think it was such a good example of like, sometimes people like, maybe you're like, well, Celeste, I'm not like you, and I have a sense of humor, and I can be like passive aggressive, and my clients like that. That's awesome. But just know you're repelling people who don't like that, and you never know how it's gonna affect you in the future. So I just think it's like, also like, for me, talking about Kindness Day, let's be kind to one another in the way we treat each other, right? I always think, I'm like, okay, when I want to lose my shit, like, honestly, and it's happened. I'm like, oh my gosh, okay, I'm like, calm down. You have your kids. What if that was your mom? Celeste, what if that was my sister right there? What if that was, somebody I love right there? I wouldn't be yelling at them. Like, calm down. And I always try to give people the benefit of that one time, okay? I told you I'm spicy, okay? I told you I have my little temper. So I always try to give people benefit of doubt. I'm like, okay, the first time I'm okay, you know what? Let it go. Maybe they had a rough day. Something's going on in their personal life. By the second time, if they really push me hard, then I am fucking like the other side comes out. But I'm just sharing that with you because I think like even kind people, some people say I'm kind. I think I'm just the person trying to, do my part in this world and not be, the world's hard enough. Life's hard enough and I don't want to make it harder for people. That's my perspective. But even with that, I have boundaries and I will, like make myself be respected if somebody won't give me that respect, right? Or remove myself from that spot. If respect won't be given to me, I feel like I shouldn't give it back either, and I should remove myself from that because clearly it's a place where I shouldn't be at. So that's something that has helped me a lot in my life too, in my business. It's like, how do we want others to feel, right? How would you like it? Like, I know it sounds so like cliche and like, oh my gosh, we heard that a million times. But put yourself in somebody else's shoes. You may not fit in their shoes. You may not understand 100% how that feels. But just imagine yourself for a second. If you were that person, how would you feel? And most importantly, how would you like somebody to treat you during that time? I shared today a post on Instagram and it had to do with like years ago. I mean, I think it was like 15 or 16 years ago, something like that. Anyways, it was when one of my kids were really small and I was like single during the time. And I remember like we were struggling and we didn't have money for flour. Okay, like flour to bake cookies. So we had some old flour. I think it was bad. I think it had gone bad. It was about to go bad. I don't know. It was weird. But anyways, so we used this freaking flour to try and make sugar cookies. And we ended up not making we ended up making the sugar cookies, but we ended up not really eating them, just a few bites, But it was the memory part. Okay, I was trying to make a memory with one of my kids and my niece. Anyway, so we're doing all this, and I remember it was such a lonely time, and I hated the holidays because for me, it was so lonely, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I see all these movies, and they have the beautiful families and big families and gatherings, and everybody's happy. I want to be happy like that, right? I was so like naive. Of course, I was in my early 20s, but it's okay, Celeste. We love you. We love you, old Celeste. I'm sharing that because sometimes during those times where I felt so lonely, somebody giving me a compliment out of nowhere felt nice. Somebody opening the door for me just out of just being a kind person felt nice. Somebody just like, I remember like it was a big thing during that month in November. You would go like, how we all feel about it, but you would go like to a coffee shop or Starbucks in particular during November, and somebody in front of you would buy you a coffee, and it would feel so nice, and I was like, oh my gosh, like somebody bought me my coffee, a stranger from in front of me, and you get the surprise when you get your coffee, and like, oh my gosh, the person in front of you just paid for all your orders, I'm like, oh my god, thank you, and I would do like a little story about it. I remember I used to share it because I thought it was just so magical, and like during that time it was like $4 or $3.95, the good old days. But anyways, and it was just a kind act, like maybe you're having a bad day, somebody does that for you. Those little things, they matter so much, and we never know what people are going through, honestly. Like, I don't share my stories because I'm like, oh my gosh, poor Celeste. I share my stories because you may see, and it happens a lot to me. Like, I hear this a lot from other people. That's why I think it's really important for me to share. Everything looks shiny. Everything looks amazing. Nobody really knows all I've gone through in my life to be where I'm at today. Nobody knows all the heartache and things that I have go through that most mothers, most humans won't ever have to experience in their life. I've gone through it. And coming on the other side of it, I want to be kinder to other people because shit, when you're going through the hard things, and you're lonely, nobody knows about it. There's still stuff that even like my own audience, if you're listening to a podcast, it's your first time here, or you've been here for like the 5 or 8 years I've been doing this, like there's so many things that you still don't know that I've had to struggle with and pass through, and obstacles that I've had to like really maneuver through and just try to take it a day at a time. And that's why I share these stories. And that's why I wanted to share today's episode, that during this holiday season, I know you may be busy, or maybe you're not busy, or you're frustrated, or there's so much to do. I know kids have like deadlines. I have a kid who's about to graduate high school, and there's buy this, buy that, and we need the form to go do this and go do that. So there's so many things going on. My kids have different activities coming up for winter, and donations that need to be done, all these different things. I know it's a busy time, but with all of it, remember to stay kind. Remember that our clients matter. Without our clients, we would not have a business, and your communication matters. And sometimes a quick break, asking, let me go use the restroom before I start, and resetting yourself and your energy, taking a deep breath. I use water a lot to calm my energy. So even just washing my hands, okay, whatever I just saw in the text message, I'm washing it off. I imagine myself, okay, I'm washing off that energy, I'm washing off that sadness or that mad anger I feel right now, and I'm letting it go down the drain. I do this a lot after too, when I have heavy days I go take a shower, and I just imagine, okay, all the hard stuff from the day, it's going out in the shower. Or I'll go on a walk, okay, all the hard stuff from today, or the conversation I just had, I'm letting it go within outside in the trees and the air. I'm letting it go, and I'm refreshing myself. And plus, getting vitamin D is really good for you too, in your body. So it's a win-win. So just find ways to reset yourself if you're having a hard day, because we are human, and life's going to happen. It's going to be hard things that happen. I've been there, and you still need to show up for your clients. So just remember that the kindness goes a long way. We may think we know somebody, but there's only so much that we know. So I hope this episode resonated with you. I hope that you take what actually helps you, let go what didn't help you from this episode. And with that, I'll see you back here next week. Bye, love.